Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023. Tuesday, June the 6th. Well, we got some crazy stuff going on. That poor little board nine that Faith brought from, the dorms. Look, I'm wearing a different hat today, everybody. Wearing a different hat, but it's still a black hat. Board nine was found dead, laid nice and neat on the doormat. You could tell that cat was placed there, which meant somebody killed the cat. Put it right in front of the door to leave a message for Sharon, right? I'm wondering who that someone could be. Cameron Kirsten. Which means we really know what his end game is for Sharon. Oh, yeah. For one, he's going to try to force her to go with him. And if she doesn't, he is going to try to kill her. That's the message. Okay. And Chance is like, well, we can't prove it was him. Really? No, you actually can't. But now, let's do some surveillance, serious surveillance on him. Period. Right? So Sharon told Nick, look, Nick, Faith never let the cat out the house. I never let the cat out the house. So how the cat could come up dead outside the house, placed there, Cameron had to have been in my house. Last I checked, that cat was in Faith's room with Faith. Remember? Keep it in your room, Faith. Faith was cuddled up to the cat. Now, the cat may have been roaming loose in the room, but Cameron had to have opened that door. Soap operas are so convenient. For one thing, he had to figure out, oh, Faith has a cat. Let me get the cat. When Faith doesn't really have a cat, she brought it from the dorms. But what, he was looking for something in Faith's room? Anything in Faith's room to show that I could get near your daughter? If Faith wouldn't have had a real cat, would he have taken one of Faith's teddy bears or something of Faith's and put it on that doormat, right? But since they had an animal, what a better way, according to him, his demented mind, is to kill the poor defenseless cat. Now, Young and the Restless put up a disclaimer. No animals were hurt during the filming of this episode, meaning that's a fake cat, y'all. In case you didn't know, that was a fake cat. Unfortunately, somebody might think they killed a real cat. No, they did. That's not even, they never even showed a cat on the set. Remember, he was in a cat carrier. They never had a live cat on the set at all, right? So now Sharon's and Faith are just beside themselves. Faith's distraught because her roommate trusted her to take the cat home for the summer. And she told Chance the cat was killed. How old was that cat? Faith says, I don't know its exact age, but I took him to the vet before I came home. And the vet gave him a clean bill of health. So he had the detectives, the police officers take it, for forensics or little cat autopsy, right? And yeah, cat was definitely poisoned. So the cat was deliberately killed. And Sharon said, Chance, I know exactly who's done this. It's Cameron. This is the kind of sick thing that he would do to torment me, right? So anyway, we have Victor. Victor's meeting Adam and telling Adam, I've got some plans and this is, I got some ideas. And Adam is saying, no, I'm selling off the music division. I'm selling off, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And he goes, wait, the music division is one of its profitable divisions. Adam says, no, actually, no, it's not. I'm going to sell off the music division, build up the media division. And he goes, if you do that, son, you're in direct competition of Newman Enterprises or Newman Media. He said, it's a good move. He says, you know what? Because he goes, then you're going to be in competition of your sister. He said, Dad, I'm bringing Newman Media back to its rightful owner. He goes, you and I started that company, not Victoria. From the ground up, that was my company. And I want it in the fold. And he goes, son, if you do that, you're going to be declaring war. And Adam looked at him and said, would you have this same conversation with Victoria? And I'm thinking, no, he wouldn't. He's sweetheart this, sweetheart that. No, because Victoria, actually, she has told her father she's coming after Adam. She's told him that. And what did Victor say? Healthy competition, right? As a matter of fact, Victoria's concerns were, Adam's going to come after Newman. He goes, no, but you're afraid of a little healthy competition? See, that's the kind of thing Victor Newman thrives on, pitting his children against each other, right? So Nick, they call Nick, he comes over. He is just going crazy over the cat situation. He's checking the grounds, and chances say, Nick, we have more officers here. He goes, nobody knows these grounds like me. And he's, Nick, bull Nick, He comes back, okay, he's nowhere on the grounds. But it's Cameron. Cameron is doing this. So anyway, this is going to be, hopefully they don't drag this out. I kind of think this is going to be a summer thing, and it's going to be over by the time for Faith to go back to school. But I love the look on her face. Poor thing. All her scheming. Nate shows up and she goes, oh, Nate, would you like to go over our plans? And Nate says, actually, I'm meeting someone here, Audra. Hello. And then Victoria walks around behind and she goes, oh, right? And Victoria says, hello, Audra. Victoria. And then Victoria says, she goes, I didn't know you two were going to have a meeting here. And Victoria's like, okay, because see, they don't have to clear their calendar with her, period, at all. So Victoria says, I left that file, or the file that we need is up in the Newman suite. And Nate says, oh, okay. And Audra says, your Newman Enterprises has a suite. We've had a suite here for years. Right? So Nate says, well, then why don't we go over, have our meeting upstairs in the suite? And Audra just looked, and Victoria says, good idea. And they turn and walk away, and Audra's like, oh, I can't believe the brazenness of them. It's like because Audra says, well, is it something I should be at? And Nate says, I'll fill you in if it's something you need to know. And Audra's like, oh, yeah. So she's like, goodness gracious, man. And Tucker's watching. Ooh, not having a good day, huh? So he kind of goads her a bit, and she goes, my plan is still under control. For me, slotted right in there to be the head of Newman Media. She just doesn't know. Victoria will never let that happen. And Nate would turn a blind eye. As a matter of fact, Nate is really, to me, the way he kind of talks to Audra, he doesn't plan on living up to his end of the bargain at all. She has to keep saying, remember, we're a team. And we have, as long as I get my goal too. And he's like, sure, yeah, of course. He goes, but of course, good. Just keep doing your job, right? So now we have Victor, because he and Adam were at, no, they were there. They were right there at GCAC. Victor's at the bar, and Audra comes over and talks to him. And she thinks she's so smart. She thinks she's Snow and Victor. And the funny thing, the way Victor's talking to her is he has her number down pat. He has her number. And he goes, when she would say some of her answers about how smart Nate is and how Nate is such a motivator. And he goes, oh, really? Is he? Is he now? You don't say. And I'm like, oh, he ain't buying her load of crap. And she thinks she's so good at shoveling it, right? So as she's still, talking to him and talking about how Nate is X, Y, and Z and just diligent, she's kind of looking and she sees Nate and Victoria coming down the stairs. And as she's talking, she's making sure she's looking at them. So Victor sees her and he looks that way too because she was obvious. She's like, yes. And so what I'm saying is he's very inspired. And Victor's looking like, what's she looking at? And he sees it. And what she sees, he gets an earful and he turns his head. She keeps on talking like, yeah, that's what I wanted you to see. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. So Audrey gets back to the office, and Nate and Victoria, of course, are already in the office with more sexual innuendo talk to each other, and all the. I'm so sick of hearing her praise him. Sick of it. Sick of hearing him praise her. How brilliant he is. And so Victoria, he goes, oh, wow, speaking, this is interesting. She goes, well, what's going on? She goes, I just got a text from your father saying he wants me to have drinks with him later. Wonder what's going on about that. And Audra is at the door. Well, I know what's going on with that. And Victoria looks at her and says, you do? How could you know? Oh, well, because I was speaking to Victor at the GCAC, and he was asking me about Nate, kind of probing me about you and Victoria. You're working. And I of course didn't say any. I was just talking about what a wonderful, wonderful CEO you are, and how you're great. She goes, I've sung your praises. And Victoria's just looking at her. And Nate says, well, thank you, Audra. And he goes, but Victor saw the two of you leaving together this afternoon. So he did see. But after all the praising that I did of you, I bet he wants to have you for a drink so that he can give you a promotion or give you a raise. Victoria looked at her because she's thinking, first of all, Nate is my CEO of Newman Media. I'd be given the raise. And she goes, oh, so you know Victor Newman so well, Audra, that he would have asked Nate for drinks to promote him. And Audra says, well, anything could happen. And she turns and she walks away, and she's kind of switching a bit as she's walking away. And I thought, and Victoria is looking at her like, shh, right? So Victoria tells Nate, look, I have a meeting I've got to go to, got to meet somebody. And he goes, oh, do I need to tag along? She goes, no, this is personal. And I'm surprised she didn't tell him, right? But she was meeting Billy. And they were talking about, but Billy's all bummed out because Chelsea set some boundaries with him. She was a little discouraged. The platform did a soft launch and her game didn't get really good reviews. The numbers weren't high. So she's like, oh, my game's, it's a failure. And she was a little down on herself. And Billy's like, well, let me take you to dinner. And she's like, you know what, Billy? I was talking, my therapist and I were talking about you and our relationship. You know, the circumstances that we got together was very intense. You literally saved me. And now, Billy, I think you feel you have to continue to save me. I can't have a bad day without you wanting to fix it. She goes, I'm better, Billy. I don't need you to come in and fix things. And he goes, well, what's wrong with, me trying to make things better for you? She goes, I can make things better for myself. And everything's not always a bright, shiny day. My platform launched and it didn't do well, you know? And so he goes, so you and the therapist have been talking about me, then that means you feel I'm an issue that needs to be talked about. And she says, no, we do need to make sure that you don't continue to have this feel like you got to save me. That won't be we won't have a healthy relationship. And he goes, well, I didn't know I was doing that. I'm sorry. And she goes, you've been just the best and you are the best. But I want to make sure that we're not falling down a path or going down a path that's not going to ultimately be a healthy one, right? Chelsea was, making sense, right? So that bummed out Billy, bummed him. And then, wait, you know what? I'm kind of thinking I'm going into, because y'all, like Young and the Restless, I'm doing 2 of them today. And I think I'm getting into the next one. So yeah, I'm going to leave that one there because that is for the next one. We'll pick that up on the next video. So pretty much Kyle is talking to Summer, and Kyle is telling Summer that, just grilling her. When did you know? I know you knew. He goes, your whole expression wasn't that of, because she goes, no, I just found out my mother I saw my mother for the first time. And Kyle says, Summer, it didn't look like you saw your mother for the first time. He said, I followed you. See, and my whole thing is I would have turned the argument around right then and there and said, what do you mean you followed me? And why did you follow me? See, now that's the second time you followed me. And I'm not having it, right? I'm not having it, Kyle. And he goes, so I wasn't that far behind. And I'm thinking, well, actually, yeah, because in reality, Phyllis, Summer, and Daniel had a nice long conversation before, and they were actually deciding that Phyllis, they were gonna have to move her, right? And then Kyle comes banging on the door. He wasn't right behind her. How did he know what door to go knock on? That's what I want to know. See, that's that soap opera writing that they don't want us to know, to think about. We don't have brains. He wasn't following her that closely. Kyle was a good 10 to 15 minutes behind. He never would have known what door she went into, what floor she even stopped on. He would not have known. Because look, GCAC, they seem to be taking them stairs. Oh my God. Upscale hotel like that, where's the elevators? There's different floors in there. There has to be one somewhere. But I've never seen anybody take stairs in the GCAC. So anyway, he looks at her and he goes, I want you to, she goes, Kyle, that was the first time, that I saw my mother alive. And he goes, you know what? No, I really believe you were the first one she contacted. That's why you didn't look like surprised to see her. Now, mind you, wasn't this the first time Daniel saw Phyllis? Yeah. Did Daniel have a funny surprise? This is the first time I saw my mother look on his face? No. So that argument of Kyle's is very invalid, right? So he looks at Summer and he goes, you know what? Hand me your phone. And she says, what? He goes, because I think you've been in contact with her. Hand me your phone so I could see. I would have said, are you out your mind? You out your mind? Last time I checked, buddy, I paid my own phone bill. I had this phone way before I met you. I'm not about to let you have my phone. Because he goes, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And if, in fact, I get on here and I see no evidence, then I'll apologize. And you're not going to have a chance to apologize. Were you showing me your phone when you were colluding with my grandfather? Lying to my face, because he's telling her, you lying to my face. After he, of course, stupid Summer, gives him the phone. And the reason why I say stupid Summer, who doesn't delete text messages from somebody you're not even supposed to be getting text from? And bottom line, who doesn't have their phone password protected? Now, granted, married folks usually know each other's password. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm not supposed to be in contact with my mother. And I'm not going to delete the bring your brother. We got it. Because Kyle started reading them. And he goes, and you're replying to this number. He goes, how far back did this go? And he goes, you know what? Daniel wasn't the first person. See, Kyle, they had Kyle figure it all out. And Summer finally comes clean. And I thought, yeah, idiot. You're an idiot for giving him the phone. I would have made sure he never saw that because I would have known, oh, oops, stupid me. All those texts are going to be there. I would have known that, right? He sees the number. This is the unknown number. I don't know whose that number is. And I'm thinking, Summer. Oh my goodness. No wonder why it was so easy for Sally and Tara Locke to just run circles around you. Wow. So now Kyle is doing the whole guilt thing. You were going to let my mother rot in jail. You were going to let me know you had my mother staying in jail knowing she was innocent, all to protect your mother. And she goes, I wasn't going to let Diane rot. That's what she said. She goes, I wasn't going to let her rot there. And he looked at her and he goes, oh, whatever he says, oh, you perfect the lie into my, oh, shut up, Kyle. Shut up, right? And so Summer is like, but that was my mom. And he goes, but at the expense of my mother. And it would be, you know what, you're doggone right. Because if the tables were turned, Kyle, you would gladly stick by your mom at the expense of my mom. So yeah, I helped my mother. Yeah, I did. Right? So Kyle's like, oh, he's storming out. Kyle, I need to know what you're going to do. Kyle. So I was like, Kyle's getting ready to go tell, girl, and you know it. That's exactly what Kyle is going to do. He's going to go tell. So anyway, that's it for today's episode of The Young. Let's go to comment corner. All right, we have a comment from one of my really first time commenters. She's goes way back. Ditos. I saw this and I was like, Ditos, where you at? Where you at? And Dito says, hey all, remember me? LOL, I've totally agreed with you, Daily Recap Lady, about the situation with Phyllis, Summer, and Kyle. That's going to get ready to blow up, I'm sure. Well, it did blow up. Kyle acts so self-righteous when he was keeping stuff from Summer too. Yes, he was. If I were Summer, I would, let me see. If I were Summer, I would double down on him, on his mommy and daddy. Yes, I'm telling you, I sure would have. I would threaten to tell my grandpa what they did. Sorry, I haven't commented so much, but there's been not been too much positive about the show. You know what? You are so right. Oh my goodness. It's been like pulling teeth with The Young and the Restless. And there's not, let me see right now. I'm not ready. I'm not really liking the Cameron storyline. I didn't like it the first time we had to watch it. And I certainly don't like it now. When you were describing the Jack and Diane stuff and saying they were the christening society at the athletic club, ECT, the first thing that came to mind was, I'm sure glad they weren't christening, the christening, it wasn't sex, right? I know, huh? That'd be a eyesore to watch. That would make everybody blind watching that stuff, LOL. Waving hi to my sister friend. I would not, no, I will try not to be such a stranger with my posts, and I'll post a little more often. And I was like, good to see you, Dinos. Yes, yes, yes. So let's go to some other comments. Let's see. We have LaShunta says, Chance won't give them one. And I think the restraining order, he won't give them one. No, any Chance. I'm not like it. You know what? But Chance, he is right. By the book, they don't have enough. But to me, based on that man's past history, Sharon should be talking to Michael Baldwin about getting a restraining order. When exactly can I get one? I would already have that legal information. And then LaShunta says, Nick didn't want to call Victor. Remember, Phyllis told Nick that Victor's security ain't no good. I was so tickled because Phyllis played her part. Why can't nobody see that Diane did a lot? Kyle's a rat and he's going to tell it. Yes, he is. Now, how many times did he lie to Summer? When Jack broke to Nikki's apartment and stole her necklace, Summer said nothing. I know. Wasn't that a crime? Because he threw up Harrison. Yes, it was a crime. And actually compounded with setting another person up to send them to jail. Oh, isn't that what Phyllis did? Oh, they did the same thing, but they were toasting each other after that. So what? Yeah, Jeremy Stark could go back to jail for something he didn't do, violation of parole, be there years. They were proud of that situation, right? It's a problem with Summer helping her mother. I can't wait until Diane's secret is out. I guess Cameron will be dead next. I know, goodness gracious. I really just don't want to see that. And it depends on how much they're going to do. I may not recap too much of it. I mean, I'll say some stuff, but oh my goodness. I see that train wreck, and it's a train wreck of a story that I don't know why they felt we need to be put through watching it. I just don't. But anyway, that is the daily recap for The Young and the Restless for Tuesday, June the 6th.